Good afternoon, everybody. Depending on where you are, it's afternoon here. It may be morning or evening for you. There is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now, and I saw another video that was related to what I was about to talk about. So I'm a little excited about what I'm about to present to you guys. So I'm going to present two cases to you as to why I think we need to keep a more careful watch of the elderly in our family, our friends, and also our neighbors. There's one particular case that I remember. I heard it on the news. I didn't remember all of the details, but from what I gathered, there was a woman who was a retired doctor who owned a multifamily brownstone in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. As the years went by, she developed Alzheimer's, but it wasn't caught actually on time. Her children lived out of state, so she basically was in the house by herself. As many of you know who are homeowners, you get approached, you get letters from wholesalers, and sometimes they actually come and ring your bell, and especially if they see that your home needs to be repaired, they come to your home to see if you're willing to sell it. They made friends with this elderly lady, and I'm not sure what contract she signed, if she gave them guarantor or what have you, but she ended up losing the house. I'm not sure how her daughter found out, but her daughter found out that, her mother was about to be kicked out of a house that they actually owned free and clear. There was no mortgage on it. But the mother went into some sort of deal with these wholesalers, these crooks, these con artists, and she pretty much lost the home. And the last I heard was that they were going to court to sue to try to get that home back. Now the video, oh hi Lisa, the video that Lisa actually put up, I believe that the scam is the one that she was mentioning, where they lie to you and they mention that they need to do certain repairs on your home, or you may have to pay either extra in taxes, if I'm not mistaken, but that's not true. That's a lie. And then also what I wanted to point out to you is this. If your mother or someone you know has Alzheimer's, when they sign a contract, the validity of that contract differs from state to state. In New York State, if it's the beginning of Alzheimer's, depending on how complicated that contract is, it may be deemed valid or invalid. For example, if it's a simple, just a straightforward, simple contract, and it's the early stages of it, then it may be valid. But if it's gotten severe, where there's like a home attendant that's involved, it's been properly diagnosed, they may be on medication or some sort of routine, then that contract is invalid. And that's something that I want a lot of you to know, that you can go to court and you can fight to get your parents' house back in case that is the situation that you find yourself in. But I will tell you this, going to court is not going to be an easy feat at all. It may take months, it may take years for you to prove your case, for them to let them have your house that you own outright back, or that your parents own outright back. So it's important. I notice a lot of, sometimes we get so busy that we don't call up our parents and check on them and see how they are. But we need to do this. We need to check up not just on our family members, but if you know a neighbor who's living by themselves, if you have a friend who is of age that's living by themselves, check up on them, find out how they're doing. You want to know how their mental health is, because dementia is something that's not always easily recognizable. Some of you that know me personally, we've worked together, and we had this situation where I recognized it. I didn't even know what dementia was at the time, but I recognized it. And I said to you, this person is not the same anymore. And you guys were like, oh, Lily, you know, what you do is, you know, it's so complicated to, you know, most people, especially seniors, they can't handle what you do for a living. And I said, no, this is not, this person is normally on the ball, and they're not on the ball anymore. There's something, I don't know what's going on, but there's something going on. And it wasn't until 3 years later that you guys all agreed, and you basically introduced me to the term of dementia, because I didn't even know what that was. I just knew that this person was different. I mean, that they looked the same, they dressed the same, they smelled the same, but the mind was not on the ball the way it used to be. Hi, Arvid. So I want to encourage you guys to please call your parents, keep in touch with them, you know, maybe call them every week, you know, see how they're doing, visit them more often as well, to, you know, just to, as much as you can. And when you find that your parent does have dementia or Alzheimer's disease, know this, you may want to speak to an attorney, and if you need references, you can definitely contact me. You might need to get like a power of attorney or be a guarantor, so that if they alone sign their name on a contract, it's immediately invalid. And then the other thing that can save you if you are in the state of New York is you should register your property. It only costs $13 a year to do so. The other thing that you might want to do in case home attendant is not something that you're able to get for whatever reason, there are special senior housing out there for people who have dementia and Alzheimer's. And if you find that your parent who has dementia or Alzheimer's disease did sign a contract, besides going to court and reporting them there, HUD has a list of people who they keep they have a list of people who've actually scammed other senior citizens. You may want to report it there. I think you have to go through the Department of Aging or the Department of Elder. Hold on, let me look it up. It's Department of Office of Aging and the Department of Elder Affairs. You may want to also contact those departments and tell them what your story is, what happened to your parents or your friend or your neighbor, how they got ripped off, and they keep a list so that other elderly people or, you know, whoever can look at that list and see all of the people who've run mortgage scams on the elders in our community, but particularly those who suffer from dementia and Alzheimer's. The next case scenario that I want to talk about is on another side, on the flip side. As some of you may know, I buy mortgage notes. I joined a program in which it's sort of like a mastermind group, plus there's a coach in it that helps us do that. I went to a presentation, not their presentation, someone else's presentation on notes, where someone bought a mortgage note for $30,000. It was in Pennsylvania. The house was actually worth $260,000. Well, they sent the servicer out there, and they found that the reason why the person wasn't paying their mortgage was because they were dead in the house for 3 months. Now, my thing is, how is it that a person is dead in their house for 3 months? It's because people are not checking up on each other. This is why I'm trying to encourage you to reach out to your family, reach out to your neighbors, and reach out to your friends. This is something that's becoming more and more common. Even the other day I was in the restaurant and there was somebody that was found dead in the apartment that was actually for a few weeks. The neighbors passed by and said to the landlord, hey, this apartment, really is smelling horrible. You know, one word of wise to landlords is when you get a tenant, make sure after they sign the lease, you ask them for emergency contact notifications. I do this. The reason why is because if they get sick or if they die in your apartment, it can take at least, well, I know here in New York, it can take a year and 6 months to have everything cleared out and removed. I'll tell you about one particular case. I know I'm veering off a little bit, but there was a guy, he had a co-op out in Queens. And what happened is the neighbors complained. The ambulance was sent in once they found that he was dead. The landlord had to open up and go inside. He tried to make contact, and of course there was no contact. The guy's dead. He can't pick up the phone or respond to letters or whatever. So he forged in. They found him dead. They called the ambulance. The ambulance, of course, goes to the coroner. The coroner goes to the public administrator. The public administrator goes into the apartment. They go through, all the paperwork in the apartment. It took them 2 months just to find a will. When they found the will, they found that most of the people on the will were dead. People, when you make a will, first of all, make a will. Some of you don't have it. I'm preaching to myself as well as to you, so to speak. But when you have a will that you make, go over it and make sure that the people are still alive, because that's one of the reasons why it took so long for them to find someone that was related to the person. The person that they found, though, didn't live in the United States. They lived overseas, and they ended up auctioning off all of the furniture and all the belongings of the person. Well, most of it, not, some of it had to be burned, of course, in the apartment, and then the realtor came and sold the apartment. As far as the incident with Philly, I'm not sure what they did at that time. I'm not sure if Philly handles it the same way as New York when somebody dies. And besides the one in Philly, that was a house, that wasn't a co-op. So, but this thing is happening. We have an increase in the baby boomer generation. They're getting up there, and even though some people live long, some people don't. And when you excuse me, when you don't keep up with your family, like in the situation with the mortgage note, I was told that because it wasn't paid off or what have you, it does not go to the family. It goes to the note holder in Philly. So here's a person who has a $260,000 house that they bought for $30,000. Think about that for a while. Now they do have to pay the taxes. That does have to be taken care of. But yeah, we got to do better, guys. We have to do better. Anyway, that's basically what I wanted to share with you. I will be leaving the links once the video finishes and publishes. I will leave the link to Lisa's video, which talks about the loan scam. And I believe that in the first case scenario that I was talking about, I believe that woman in Brooklyn was the victim of the loan scam that she was talking about. And I will leave the link to the office, the elder care, the Office of Aging and the Department of Elder Affairs. I will leave their links as well in case you know of someone who's elderly who has fallen victim to any scams, whether it's the one that Lisa mentioned in her video or the one that, or some other one that wasn't mentioned at all. Okay, bye for now. Thanks for listening, and be very careful. Bye.